Okay, it's 3:31, and I'm calling the Lodgepine Groundwater Conservation District, August 27th, 2025 meeting to order. 317 East Hempstead Street, Giddings, Texas. I am the acting president because Elvis Hernandez has resigned. And so as vice president, I'm now running the agenda for. So I think we have a quorum. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting. And now we'll say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. The republic which stands one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. On earth and Texas. One day, God, will you visit.
The words? Okay. I don't know. Texas flag. Okay, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 2, which is public comments. And we have one. Does anybody else want to sign up to make a public comment? Okay, we have Andy Weir from Sawdeck.
Good afternoon, Andy here with Hillsborough, also Groundwater Defense Funds. Many of you were at the Texas Alliance of Groundwater Districts. And it's all.
Just a minute, Andy.
Yes.
Or else you're talking. I can't hear you. Go ahead.
So at the TAG conference last week, I just wanted to comment on the presentation by Lost Pine, or the whole participation by the Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District was wonderful. We had advertising in the programming, sponsorship. I can't remember the ambassador. Ambassador at the conference.
Oh, he was his first week of high school.
Oh, yeah. So, and then the presentation in the breakout workshops that was done with Dr. Miller and Elvis was wonderful because it put priority on best available science and how it was being used. I mean, it helped me with some things, and I hope that presentation is packaged in some form or fashion on the website, so more and more people can understand what you're doing. Then the other thing I want to say is you may have received or should have noticed about the Austin Water and their ASR project, and they're going to hold a series of open houses. And of course, y'all will be recipients of the office hours they will have up in September. But spoke with the Bastrop County Republicans on Monday night, and it was that turned people away because they have a very small meeting room like this, and the whole thing was about the ASR. People were still very wound up about it. So any information that you all can provide to help them understand the science and the facts, because everything was like, oh, they're pumping their wastewater into our aquifer. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done by yourselves as representatives of the district and by staff to help people understand the science and the steps that are being taken. And that, I guess, in my opinion, the groundwater district, all of us within the district have an opportunity to benefit from the science that will come with the testing that they want to do in the testing protocol. So it's a hard road to whatever that expression is. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's a hard road to hoe. I remember hoeing but because all the elected officials have to be against it, or they'll just they wanted to censor somebody that was in favor of it, and so they're all having to be against it. So it's difficult to do. To say, wait a second, here's the facts, and here's the science, and here's the benefit of this stage of the program. So to talk factually and just factually about it is going to be difficult in an environment where everybody's really upset, but it will make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. And by the way, we do have 2 seats at the table. Elvis Hernandez and Nick Texter regularly go to the meetings. Also, our LRP representative is vetted in the process. Thanks, Mark. Okay, any more public comments? Okay. On the consent agenda, I need to pull the minutes out of that because we've had new minutes inserted. So I'm going to take up everything on the consent agenda except A, which is the minutes, and we're going to deal with those separately. So does anybody have anything else they want to pull out of the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda without the minutes.
Okay, I've had a motion from Melissa Cole and a second by Mr. Textor to approve the consent agenda without the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes. Now, have you all had a chance to look at the revised minutes that were passed out? Yes. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Director Smith and a second from Director Textor to approve the minutes as revised. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay, those minutes are accepted. Okay, item 4, regular agenda, announcements. Do we have any announcements? Okay, then we're gonna move on to our featured presentation today by Aqua Water Supply Corporation regarding their long-term planning. You'd like to take over? Welcome.
Testing. How's this? Okay. Good volume.
We're gonna pull up your slides here in a second.
Okay, great.
I've got it on PDF, but I think someone has suggested a different mechanism might be.
Yeah, the Canva format is perfect, but we'll make it work either way. While Claire's pulling it up. So I'm Daisy Cameron. I'm the general manager of WSC. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us the time to speak. We'll try to keep it real short and just focusing on having any type of questions that you may have. But I'm very honored and grateful that you would make time for us in your agenda.
Oh no, they didn't want that.
Well, it was good to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, so I'm Daisy, and then I also have Miss Emily O'Leary here. Emily is our engineering manager. So I'm gonna start by just introducing who Aqua is, you know, to the extent that folks may be unfamiliar, and then Emily's gonna talk more in a more detailed way about our long-term plan. All right. Go to the next slide. And the next slide yet again. All right, so just a little bit about Aqua WIC. We are a nonprofit. We are owned by our members, and everything that we do is based on honoring the best interests of those members. We began operations in 1970. At the time, the U.S. Farm and Home Administration was giving out grants to different rural water utilities. There were some existing pipelines and wells, and using those funds, we were able to tie those systems together for an original system that served 1,400 connections compared to our 30,000 today. So that was in 1970. So we've been in business about 55 years. We currently have 120 staff, and we're continuing to grow. And we're also proud that we were able to be instrumental in creating the district. The general manager at the time saw the importance of protecting our local resources. So back in the 90s, we were glad to be part of that process to help create the district so that we can have this local group today. All right. So I have what I'm showing here on this slide is a map of our service area. You can see that most of our service area is in Bastrop County, And then we extend them to parts of each surrounding county. So our service area overlaps with the Lost Pines District, as well as the Plum Creek Groundwater Conservation District and Gonzales. Our service area is about 1,200 square miles, got over 2,200 miles of pipe. And per the Public Utility Commission, we are obligated to provide water service to all of the qualified applicants in our service area, which is also known as the CCN. CCN stands for the Certificate of Convenience and Necessity. A little bit about our members. Like I said, we've got over 30,000 members, or meters or connections. 99% of those are residential. Some of those meters serve MUD's municipal utility districts. So including those, we think we serve over 100,000 residents looking at census data. And the average member does use about 7,000 gallons of water per month.
By member, do you mean individual or?
A connection, so also known as a meter, yes ma'am. All right, some recent successes. Last year, we were able to work through the stakeholder process that the district hosted. That was a great learning experience, and we made some new friends through that process. We also, like the district, have hired a PR and communications specialist, and Claire and Holly have had some shared collaboration on initiatives and events, and we're really proud of those. We, of course, always share our production data, but we've also started sharing our water, our well water levels with Mr. Hernandez, and we think that's been mutually beneficial. And most recently, we're collaborating with y'all on Austin Water's ASR project and helping create a framework under which they may continue that project. Our current permits, we've got 31 permits with the district. Our total aggregate permit is about 36,000 acre feet per year. And the Lost Pines permits make up about 60% of our overall permitted production. Okay, in the last 5 years, on the left-hand side, I've got permits that were recently issued. So what I'm showing in bold compared to the others are those that we consider new water, which were added above and beyond our existing annual capacity. So the new water that we received was the Foster Tyner Waterston 1 and 2. And then we've got some applications in with the district now, including some re-drills, some amendments, and new operating permits. So that's just a brief introduction, and Emily's going to talk about the more important, more interesting stuff.
I wouldn't say that, but as Stacey mentioned, I'm Emily O'Leary. I'm the engineering manager here at Aqua. I'm going to be talking a little bit about our long-term plan to, present to y'all, hear from y'all, to see if our long-term planning goals are aligned, because of our intertwined and close relationship with the district. So we hear a lot about growth and development in this part of Central Texas, as I'm sure y'all are sick of hearing about. So what does that mean? What are we actually looking at? We worked with our consultants to prepare some population projections of what we're actually seeing just within the Aqua service area. So as Stacey showed on the map, it's most of Bastrop County and 5 surrounding counties, but we are looking at a 5.5% compounded annual growth rate throughout our system, which means that in 40 years we'll have over 1 million. Okay, so with all that population growth, of course, that leads to increased demands for water. So this figure here is showing our projected growth demands over the next 25 years, and then on the left we've got our production capacity. So the line shown in blue there, that's our current production capacity, and then in the yellowy orange and green, those are our planned projects. And then that purple bar that you're looking at there, that is the unknown of how are we going to fill that gap so that we can be prepared for what is coming our way. Okay, so the biggest tool in our arsenal as a utility is our capital improvement plan. So, you know, not only is it just source water project, figuring out where the water is going to come from, we also have to treat the water, pressurize the water, and provide it to our customers. So our capital improvement plan includes all sorts of projects, so new wells, treatment plant upgrades, pump station upgrades, and a lot of new water lines, of course. So overall, our capital improvement plan is just over $600 million. And we are shooting to get all of this done in the next 10 years. We do, of course, have some challenges, as with everyone. We've got aging infrastructure, so there's always things that go wrong that we don't necessarily plan for, that we have to build into our overall budget plan. Got rapid population growth, as I explained, and you know, $600 million is not a small sum of money. So there's some financial pressure on this as well. So, you know, because of this gap and trying to figure out how we can fill this gap, we also, as Daisy mentioned, we're a nonprofit. So we're trying to be responsible stewards, not only of the resource, but investigate all possible options for source water so that we can keep costs down for our members as well. So the list that you're seeing on the right there, those are of projects that we're looking into. All right. So what we did to try and prioritize what we were going to look at first was we went through an extensive scoring analysis to rank projects, figure out what the overall cost of those projects were so that we knew what the lowest hanging fruit per se to tackle first. So of course it's relevant to note that it's not just the project cost, you know, the overall value of a project is a lot more than just the cost implications. It's the long-term impact of that project. So you can see some of the criteria there that we looked at when we were scoring. So sustainability, meeting the needs, costs, and then how implementable that solution was. So I'm happy to announce that of these projects, everything that's shown in that box in red, we've had some measurable progress on, and I'm going to go through a little bit of that now. Okay, so one of the options that ranked fairly highly for us was a wholesale purchase contract through existing permit holders, not necessarily in the Lost Pines district, but in other groundwater districts. So we have successfully negotiated a wholesale water purchase with EPCOR. Their groundwater was permitted through the Post Oak Savannah Groundwater Conservation District. We've negotiated a purchase of 2.5 million gallons a day of treated groundwater from them. So that will overall supply 3,000 to 4,000 homes, which is great. This will be up in the north part of our system where we were lacking a source. And this is scheduled to be online by summer of 2027. So separate to EPCOR, we are still very much engaged with conversations with other marketers to engage in similar projects. Okay, the brackish test well. So we have invested almost $5 million in a brackish test hole in the southwest part of our system. You can see on the map there, it's located in a district, or it's not located in a district, I should say. So it's outside of Lost Pines, it's outside of Plum Creek, it's outside of Gonzales. So we thought that would be an interesting spot to do a pilot brackish study. So we went forward with the project. The idea was a test hole that would eventually turn into a production well. My hydrogeologist had corrected me on this. We didn't actually drill to a depth of 2,200 feet. We drilled to a depth of 3,900 feet. We just got water quality results from a lot of different zones. But overall, we went down to the Cow Creek zone of the Trinity Aquifer. Unfortunately, the water quality results when we got those back, the total dissolved solids was worse than seawater. So we're ranging from 32,000 to 45,000 parts per million. So it ended up not being a great result for us, but we're still happy that we did it. We got the information, and we're still very much pursuing brackish, just maybe not in this particular location.
This one just.
It's just not a scope that we could take on right now. We're still investigating it. It's just that well itself probably cannot be turned into a production well based on down to.
Can I ask you a brackish question?
Sure.
So at the groundwater conference, they gave a long report on brackish water, and it's my understanding that the desalination plants in Texas now, none of them are using seawater. They're all using brackish wells.
Mhm.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of utilities that have been doing this for a long time, especially in South Texas.
Right.
Where all of their groundwater is brackish in nature.
And maybe El Paso.
And yes, ma'am. Okay, so another form of investigation into brackish that we did is water syn wells that we're actually drilling now. We got them permitted through the district. And I'm calling it brackish because the water quality is slightly brackish. It is about 1,200 to 1,300 parts per million TS, which is, slightly above what's considered freshwater. So it's a good opportunity for us to kind of wean ourselves into treating brackish water. So once both of those wells are fully drilled, we'll get good water quality results. And at that point, we'll determine how is best to treat that water. Because it's not super brackish, we do have the opportunity to blend that water with other fresh water in our system. But depending on how it all pans out, we also would look into just constructing an RO plant on site to treat that water outright and use that as an opportunity to get more familiar with treating brackish water before we took on a huge project in another part of our system.
What aquifers?
This is in, I want to say it's in the Simsboro formation. Great question. It depends on the size, of course. We recently got a quote for 10 million. 10 million. Yes, ma'am.
Could you just repeat the question for the folks online?
Sure. She asked the cost of a brackish desal plant, and I said 10 million based on a quote we were recently given for a small scale plant. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we've also looked at reuse as an option. So on this map here, you'll see on the left, that is our S treatment plant off 304, and directly across the street is the City of Bastrop wastewater treatment plant. They are upgrading that facility right now, and I think the ultimate build out is they're going to have outflows of 10 MGD. So we're in early stages of reviewing the feasibility of this, but we did price it. We think that we could do a small reuse project for 123 million, which is pocket change, I know. But ultimately, we think that we could start out with an initial build out of 2.1 MGD and move towards taking on a lot of those outflows from the wastewater treatment plant and treating it to potable and reselling it. But we're fairly far off on that. It would be in the 2040 decade, but this is a plan that we got in the Region water plan for this cycle. So you can treat effluent to potable, or you can also treat effluent to what we call type 1 or type 2 reclaimed water. This is the purple pipe that you may have heard about. The difference between type 1 and type 2 is just that type 1 is more safe for human interaction. So that's designated for irrigation areas where there would be children playing, having recreation, versus type 2 or industrial uses where human contact wouldn't take place. So it is cheaper because you're not treating the water to potable quantity. But it's something that we're looking into, and we've done some initial feasibility to identify customers, particularly with irrigation needs, that we could sell reclaimed water to. You may know this may surprise you, that in Bastrop County, about 50% of a home's water use goes towards irrigation. So if we could decrease the overall potable water use per home, that would be a big help for everyone. Okay, and finally, I will talk to y'all about our ASR project. So the plan for this would be that at our Camp Swift facility, where we have existing permitted capacity, in times where we are not pulling our full permitted amount, the idea would be that we could pump from the aquifer and re-inject in the same zone of the aquifer during times of low demand. So this would allow for peaking during times of high demand. So we're talking about increasing our instantaneous pull out of the aquifer, but not making any changes to our overall yearly permitted capacity in that area. So the scope of this would be fairly small. Talking about total system injection of about 1,900 acre feet a year that we would be re-injecting into the aquifer. So where are we at with this project? We have met with TCEQ, presented our project scope and some details on that. We received drinking water approval on a well design. We've engaged in a desktop study and engaged with our hydrogeologist to help us prepare an application for ASR. The application involves 2 ASR wells at the Camp Swift site. And again, we would be producing and injecting from the same aquifer. So next steps would be us potentially submitting this application, but preferably just continued coordination with Lois Pines on a path forward related to this project, but all of our alternate source evaluation projects. In short, we've been able to avoid doing this project because of the current permit process, where we have aggregate capacity and we're applying for new wells to increase our instantaneous capacity and not our aggregate. And so long as that continues to be an option for us, we can prolong this, potentially indefinitely. We can keep it simple, we can continue as we have been, but again, we owe it to ourselves and our members to investigate all possible options related to the source, water, and storage based on this county is in. So with that, I think that concludes our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer.
At the same Texas Water Development Authority brackish water presentation, we were talking about Texas. Is any of that study in our lost funds? It's already, like they've already done all the work. Because they also talked about, but most, if not most, groundwater districts don't have rules for brackish groundwater. They were reluctant to see a lot of brackish water so that it didn't interfere. And so I was just curious about that, or do you know about the Texas Water Development Board Oh, they give a presentation.
I personally am not familiar with the study that the Water Development Board has done related to brackish, but we did do somewhat of an investigation. We're investing
Sure.
$5 million in the
course.
well, we did do a decent amount of studying the area to pinpoint a good location. It's just that because brackish is so new, it was either gonna be that we hit water and it was the wild, wild west and everyone flocked to that area, or it was gonna be that we came out of it with some information that, eventually helps everyone. So you're right in that there's a lot of districts that don't have rules associated specifically with brackish because of that exact issue. But we would certainly be interested in working with the district to help come up with the process. We can be your guinea pig.
No,
We happily do that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like part of our western. Yeah. Of course, this is really.
So on your ASR project, you wouldn't have to treat that water before you take it out.
All these different things. Just to consider. Anyway. That's a big.
Related to our permits within the district, I suppose we assume that by having the permits granted, that those have been reviewed by not only our hydrogeologists, but also hydrogeologists as well to ensure that there's minimal impacts to landowner wells, but we didn't study specifically how these other alternate source projects would impact.
He's talking about.
Mm.
Also, you're gonna rely on us. Because somebody else wants to around.
Well, almost virtually all the options that Emily presented would not be groundwater.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Questions?
One quick question. Y'all did a very interesting presentation. I greatly appreciate that. And at some time in the future, if y'all come back and kind of give us another update, we greatly appreciate that. Very interesting what y'all are doing.
Thank you very much.
We'd be honored. Yeah. Very kind of you to have us.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming and come back.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, we're gonna move on to regular agenda item 4C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a resolution regarding committee authority to establish programs related to board approved budgeted items, including the district's rainwater harvesting, flow meter, and well cap programs and policies. And in your packet, you have a resolution that we're gonna think about approving that will basically give the committees the authority to regulate these programs and to roll them out as they've been imagined by the board.
I'm in here. I think
Yes.
about 3 or 4 months ago, the board approved the budget for these items. You recall, we set aside 100,000 for the rainwater harvesting, 50,000 for the flow meter. That was then matched with a matching grant by the state of Texas for a total of 100,000. And then the well capping program was another 50. So the total that we had budgeted for these 3 programs was 200,000. And that came from the interest payments of our savings. And we had decided to take our interest payments and put them into these 3 programs. And those were budgeted about 3-4 meetings ago. So this is just to establish now the policy to go ahead and spend that money And I believe that in the packet, there was drafts of the well cap program and the rainwater harvesting program. And so as stated, the resolution is to provide guidance and give this to the committees to finalize those policies and to continue to review those policies on a periodic basis.
Right, and we're gonna delegate to the Outreach and Education Committee, the rainwater harvesting program and the flow meter program, but then to the Infrastructure Committee, we're going to delegate the ability to implement the well. And then we're also going to delegate authority to the general manager and the interim general manager. The authority to oversee the execution of any budgeted approved programs that are being overseen by these committees.
Okay, I have a question.
All right,
Okay. If someone comes up with a new program, does the committee, they have to come up with the program, come up with a budget, then we have to do another resolution for these things? How is that gonna work? Because it says,
If it's a new program, yeah.
yeah.
Natasha's shaking her head.
Yeah, so the committees would be, programs are created after a budget items are.
So this,
Right.
they would put, so these budget items that got adopted first.
Right, but I'm gonna budget something for something that I'm gonna do for a program. I'm gonna do a little research and have the program set up, because otherwise I can't do a cost estimate. So each one of the committees is going to be responsible for having to do that, is my understanding. And when the money is put in, then it can be implemented. That what this is saying?
So it's two separate processes, so you'll have,
Come on up.
yes.
Yeah.
I know,
We have an empty
Yeah.
chair up there. If you would like to sit up here at the table, please join us.
just are very tied to their laptops. I didn't even want to move away from the computer. So, yes, and I apologize for being late. So basically, the budget process would be the exact same as how you guys do it now. But this, once a budget is adopted, allows the committee that's overseeing those funds that have already been line item earmarked, allows them to develop a program that's consistent with that money that's already been set aside. So for your next budget cycle, yeah, you probably will be coordinating with those committees to see before a budget's adopted, how much money to put towards those items.
So I think Nick's saying if there's something new that comes along, you have to kind of have a plan before you know how much money you need, before it can get budgeted. So we have to develop something.
Well, I have to say, I seem to recall that we had an amount of money and that we just earmarked amounts for each program without,
We did. without
and
any
then we're
research.
gonna flesh
But
out.
to do it
That's what we
properly.
had. And when it's gone, it's gone.
So this sets up the framework of how you spend the money. How you guys figure out how much money needs to go in the budget is part of y'all's budgeting process. So if you decide through this work that you discover something else that needs to be considered for the budget, you would raise that at the time of when you're considering the budget.
It's a budget time. But I don't think there's anything improper about this.
But yeah, but this really governs how you spend the money once you've already earmarked it.
Okay.
Any other
But
questions?
Nick's right, you need a plan. before
You
start.
do, you need a plan.
Dollars out.
Ideally, y'all would have had a plan when you've adopted the budget. Which you have a separate obligation to adopt your budget.
It was extremely full in there.
Right.
The air, the money just came so down.
Well, and you have an annual review, an annual obligation to adopt that budget, and you can amend it back. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Anything else?
No, nothing else. I just want to say, these are new programs. We're gonna learn as time goes by. And if one program needs less money, that can be dealt with during the budget process, or if another one needs more money, we can, that'll be just as part of the budget process.
I think we're learning. These are taking on more learning, and a learning curve.
And do I hear a motion?
Yes, yes, I move that we accept the resolution delegating authority to staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on that, resolution. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? It passes, so this resolution delegates. Now we're gonna move on. Item 4D. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on a contract with the Texas Water Development Board Agricultural Water Conservation Fund Equipment Project Grant. EWDB contract number 25135829947. Natasha, do you have some comments on this? Yes. I'm gonna leave my computer this, please. So this is essentially the contract that governs funding from Water Development Board for the flow meter. It has several reporting requirements, and it has also within it requirement to adopt a funds. And so it's I believe a 5-year funding process. I think we give $50,000 and they match. Essentially, we have to follow this certain rubric in order to get the funds from this state. And that kind of coincides with the action you just took to allow the committee to establish a program. The program that's created does have to have certain requirements from the Water Development Board within it. But essentially, this is money for flow meters, short. And these are for the ag wells. Yes. Okay. And so the education committee would actually kind of be the custodian of this contract. So they'll be doing some, it would be clear. They'll be doing some research on this. Yeah, so there's lots of calendaring involved, lots of deadlines, but this, what I will say, the Water Development Board representative, very helpful. And I think she's gonna hold our hand in this process. Now, do we need a resolution to accept this? No, you just need a motion to approve the contract. Well, it's only like 23 pages long. Did everybody read it?
No. Somewhere.
Okay, we're gonna rely on your summary.
I did want to chime that we did meet with the Texas Water Board in person, Claire, myself, and Natasha. They answered all of our questions. This has been reviewed by Natasha. And we applied for this months ago, I think last year. Claire filled out that application. And so I hope that we can approve this contract.
Natasha, do you recommend we approve this contract? Yes.
Is this basically a Texas Water Development Board interagreement?
It is. There weren't many changes I even wanted to make, but if I did, I probably wouldn't have been able to make them.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with the Water Development Board Agricultural Water Conservation Fund Equipment Project Grant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second approving this contract that's in your materials from the Texas Water Development Board. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We have approved this contract. Okay, we're moving to regular agenda item 4B, and I will tell you right now that we're going to go into executive session pursuant to Texas Regular Code Section 551.071, or any closed session permitted by law regarding the district's pending or contemplated litigation, and regarding regular agenda item 4H, and regarding draft rules, and regarding regular agenda item 4I, and regarding regular agenda item 4P. And we'll come back and take all the other items up. Okay, we've come out of executive session at 5:04 on August 27th, and we're going to return to the regular agenda. Let's see. anyone have any motions to be made?
Would like to make a motion on item 4E. Discussion, consideration, of possible action on the Darling Ingredients Enforcement Matter. I move to approve the Darling Ingredients Enforcement Matter Agreement.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. We've had a motion and a second to approve the Darling Ingredients Enforcement Matter Agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Samai?
I don't
I don't see him on.
He's not on.
Mr. Arsupi?
Yes, I have a motion for 4I, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding personnel matters. I move that the board take the general manager's recommendations for personnel compensation.
We have a motion to approve the general manager's recommendation regarding compensation. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It's passed. Let's see. I'm gonna move on to H, discussion regarding general manager job description and posting.
We had an ad hoc committee that has looked at the job description, and we've been tweaking it quite a bit, and we think it will be ready to be posted within the next month or so.
Has everybody gotten a copy?
No, they will
Okay,
not
you're gonna get
finish
a
the
copy of
final
it. If you have any comments, provide them to.
prior to posting.
To Melissa Cole. And regarding that matter, since we already have one ad hoc committee to work on that job description, I'm gonna go ahead and carry that committee over as the ad hoc committee to conduct the interviews, the preliminary interviews of any applicants for the position of permanent general manager of the district, and to then report back to the board in whole on their findings. So consider that to be Mr. Textor, Ms. Smith, Ms. Cole, and Mr. Okay. Number 4F, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding purchase of a district vehicle. Mr. Hernandez.
So in your packet, there's and then separately, I received additional quotes. Your packet had quotes from Toyota, Astra Toyota, and then subsequently I sent quotes from Ford and Dodge. So the issue, or one of the issues is that these dealerships, they can't guarantee their prices for like more than a week. So that's why we got these quotes, some of them kind of late. Because of the inventory change and also their pricing changing from week to week. So they couldn't really guarantee the price for longer than 2 days. I think that the district should get their own company vehicle. I think it would be prudent. I think it would be more professional when folks go out on site if we have a vehicle that's marked, as opposed, because like this last month, for example, I did a couple of site visits and I'm driving up in my personal vehicle. I don't have a badge. I may or may not have a Lost Pines shirt on. I may have my Beatles shirt on. And then I'm showing up into somebody's house on, with no credentials and on no marked vehicle. So, from a professional point of view, it seems that the district should have a vehicle. It would be shared amongst all the staff. I know Claire does a lot of work, and so that's why we were looking at a pickup truck. I don't think we need a big truck with a big engine. We don't tow a lot or at all, and we're not towing. We're not carrying heavy payload, so we don't need some big, V8 or V10 engine. So I'm looking to get maybe something more mid-size. That's why I had the Tacoma, the Toyota Tacoma, which is a little bit more moderate in size. The prices range between 42 to 50, little 52 to 40, 42 to 52, depending on the vehicle. Couple of things, maybe if you can't settle on a particular vehicle, maybe just get a price maximum. And allow the general manager to pursue that.
What if we approve these quotes in case you want to choose one of them?
Yeah, that would
Because
be,
what's our purchasing limit? I mean, doesn't, but what does the board have? Okay, said.
Yeah,
Say
we'd have to have a
up to
motion
55.
approving, any
limit or
these
something.
quotes.
So
yeah,
And if,
we could make a motion to approve the quotes and to authorize the general manager to purchase up to 52,000 or whatever. Do you think that's a fair?
yeah. I think they all fell in that range, under that range. In terms of car insurance, that would be under our current insurance. We're already paying about $700 a month to cover our personal vehicles for our personal use whenever we go on business, for groundwater business. So we're covered in our personal vehicle and we're already paying like 700 a little bit for that. So this is just gonna add like another 500. I think it was like 12 or 1300 to add an actual to that.
When I looked at the bids, I did not see any discounts.
that's what I wondered. We're a nonprofit.
Yeah, so
Service.
I did tell them that we don't pay taxes and that we're tax exempt, but their computer program spits out taxes. So unfortunately, they couldn't override the computer program, so on one approach, you'll see the taxes, but we don't pay taxes. So we'll have to get, so that'll be
Maybe you
removed.
need Tom to go with you to negotiate.
So that'll be removed. And some of them did have discounts. I do recall like that there was a Sames discount for the Dodge, there was a discount in there. But in terms of taxes, we don't pay, but unfortunately their computer program just spits out taxes. And it also spits out a monthly payment if we wanted to do a monthly. But I would figure we're just gonna pay in cash.
I liked Melissa's idea that we give an upper price and let the general manager pick what he wants.
Did you look at least one?
Yes, I looked at leasing and the recommendation was that given that we do quite a bit of mileage and that it's variable, the recommendation was not to go with leasing because if we exceed that mileage amount, which is pretty small, the penalty is hefty. And so the recommendation was to purchase the vehicle. That leasing, and we don't get any tax benefits from the leasing because we don't pay taxes anyway. So the leasing wouldn't help in terms of the tax, right?
Leasing's a ripoff anyway, what you pay on the down payment and that, you're not gaining anything.
So with the being that we don't know exactly how much mileage we put on, but we know it is significant, the recommendation was not to go with the leasing option.
Oh, I made the motion
That was a motion and I seconded.
What's the motion?
Okay, there's been a motion made
to
to,
approve the quotes and to authorize the general manager to purchase a vehicle up to 52,000.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do I hear a second? Okay, we have a second by Cheryl Smith. So all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Yeah, we got Michael back now. I found him and I was able to.
Sound like a little angel, didn't he? Okay, we have one more under the F series, which is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposal for a roof replacement infrastructure, madam.
Well, the infrastructure committee gave to Elvis our recommendation to replace the roof. Pentex Roofing came back with a bid, which was the highest bid. We got other bids, but some were for some repairs that looked a little shaky, and the lowest bid for a roof replacement from a local person didn't have any sort of warranty at all. And we asked for them
They
and
never came back.
never came back. So the Kintex roof is like replacing the structure of this roof, which is not really good and is prone to gonna have issues.
Yeah, it's a redesign of the roof,
Right.
because right now, the way
It
it's,
is a redesign.
yeah, right now, the way the roof is, there's some design issues and the way the gutters are. There are concerns that they could, if they messed up or broke, that the water would actually go in the raw walls.
Elvis, if you do contract with them, before you do so, will you make sure our lawyers take a look at the contract to make sure they're, you know,
Yeah, we
controlling
have
this?
to do a purchase order. They have to show
Yeah,
insurance,
we
they have
wanna
to have
see all of
liability,
that.
comp, they have to have all kinds. This is just like.
That could be part of the motion. So I would suggest that we go and move forward with the Kentex replacement, which is like I said, a completely different design of roof. That's why it's a little more expensive.
Okay, do I hear a motion on the roof?
So move.
I have a motion, and do I hear a second? A second for Mr. Cook. All right, there's been a motion to approve the roof replacement by Kentex Roofing, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Committee reports. Mr. Semang, do you have a financial services committee report?
We did not.
No, we did not have a meeting.
Right? The governance committee did meet, and actually we talked about this lengthy agenda and all of the items on it. So you've heard what we talked about. Infrastructure committee,
We didn't have a proper meeting, but we did communicate over the roofing because we had a meeting with all the bids and decided to recommend to Elvis to go with the Intex roof of doing the entire roof. We also talked about Elvis's truck, and Elvis is planning to put another monitor in the building so that public can more easily see details versus having to look way up here because we have to now look there, which was intended for the public. And now we can't. So he's gonna get another monitor and have it installed right there, 75-inch monitor. And that he's also interested in striping parking spaces in our back lot, marking them with
Claire, want to give your report, please, on the education outreach?
Hi, y'all. Okay, the past month, we've had 2 different outreach events. First one was at the Lee County Wildlife Expo, we did a groundwater 1 presentation. That one, for our tabling event, we got 15 newsletter signups. We did an incentive to sign up for the newsletter is you can get entered to win a rain barrel parts kit. So we got 3 winners for that. And then this past Monday, I did another groundwater 101 presentation for the native plant straw. Upcoming next month, we have a rainwater harvesting 101 session. This is going to be at Aqua's facilities out in Bastrop. If you know anyone who wants to apply or register to go, please have them give me a call. A little update on our programs. The rainwater harvesting 3 big program. We've had 9 applications sent in. 6 of those have been approved. 1 has been inspected. 2 were denied because they were the systems were installed prior to when we launched this program, and 1 application. We started with $100,000 that was allotted in the budget, and right now we have $24,700 reserved for these approved applicants, leaving over $75,000 available. And then the DFC monitoring well letters. We've been working on this for a little over a year. Last year, we sent out 2 different batches of letters to wells that we want on our DFC monitoring list. Elvis and I worked together to create another batch. This time, we really wanted to make the letter seem inviting and friendly, not as harsh. And so we're hoping more people will actually give us a call back with this one. From our previous two batches, we had 33 responses saying yes, they want to participate. So in this third batch, we only sent out 72 new letters, and 4 have said yes, and we're waiting for everyone else.
That's good, 4 in less than 2 weeks.
Pretty good, I agree. Any questions? Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Textor, do you have the management committee?
I do. The Management Committee met twice since the last meeting. The first one was July 23rd, in attendance for all committee members, general manager, the E&O coordinator, and attorneys Martin and Slade. There were no announcements, new business, new additional draft rules based on a couple of 2025 state legislature bills passed into law will have to be drafted. Discussed, comments were given to GDHM for incorporation into their initial drafts. Action item, new drafts will be presented to the Management Committee at the next meeting. Old business, previously drafted and revised rules were presented by GDHM and discussed. No action was taken. B, an ASR update was given by the general manager. No action was taken. Next committee meeting scheduled for August 12th. Management Committee report August 12th. The same attendees were in attendance. Announcements, an additional agenda item A was added to new business below. New business A, due to an inconsistency in LBGC, the practice of exempting permits, a new additional rule needs to be added. GDHM presented an initial draft. This was discussed. Comments were given to GDHM for incorporation into the initial draft. Action item. Revised draft will be presented to the Management Committee at the next meeting. Old business. Redrafted revised rules were presented by GDHM, were discussed and finalized. Action item. These rules will be presented to the LPGCD board for its review. E, an ASR update was given by the general manager. No action was taken. Note, Austin Water will be in the LPGCD offices on September 17th, 2025, from noon to 3 p.m. to interact with the public. And I believe there's been a social media made. Old business, redrafted revised rules were presented by EDHM, were discussed and finalized. Action item, these rules will be presented to the LPGCD board for its review. An ASR update was given by Elvis. No action was taken. The next management committee meeting is scheduled for September 2nd. After that, the revised rules will be presented to the board for their review. Any questions? Done.
Thank you. Yeah, that reminds me, before our next meeting, Austin Water is gonna be right here from 12 to 3. I don't know if they're gonna have any treats or refreshments, but they are gonna be discussing their ASR project, and it is open to the public, and anyone who does, please. Andy Weir, have them come here to know you want.
They're gonna be in a lot of different,
Yes, they are.
they're gonna be in Eldon, they're gonna be in
Yeah, they're gonna be in
Bastrop.
Bastrop, all over Bastrop, but for us, they're gonna be here right before our meeting, so it'll be very convenient to come and talk
Oh,
with
and
them.
Paige.
Yeah. Yes.
And your first one. Bills that passed, which bills?
I don't have that information right in front of me.
One was that we had to take into account domestic wells. I think that was one that required, well, I think there was one part, but we can get those to you.
Didn't you send Greg's report out to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be on an email. They'll send it to
You can talk to us afterwards.
Okay, general manager's report.
Sure, so general manager's report for August 2025. We've had 10 Form 100s for new attempt wells through July, the end of July, and we've had 2 Form 300s. We've performed 3 water quality tests and we've gauged 3 wells. Drought conditions have gotten a little better in Lee County and a little worse in Bastrop County. So Lee County, we're above the average by about a little over 2 inches, and in Bastrop County, we're a little bit below average by about 0.6 inches, but roughly the same as last month. Next up, let's see, is GMA 12. We will be meeting on September 3rd at 10 a.m. At the Post Oak Savannah offices in Milano. That agenda is available and online. Let's see, regarding this number 2, Circle D HOA. Last month, we reported that they were in violation. They had drilled a well without a permit. Representatives met with myself and Jim Totten on the 28th. They are very cooperative now. Once they were notified, they stopped all activities at the well. They did not put a pump, they did not put electricity, all that's been stopped. They've filled out a Form 100, they filled out a Form 200, they provided a check. So they are now in compliance. We have asked for their president to address the board next month of September so that we could, understand more of what went on. We think we know what went on, and we think we have a new rule that we are proposing that would take care of this kind of scenario. It would mandate that the well drillers would have to have the authorization form from the Lost Mines on site at the drill site. So that will ensure that the well driller has a copy of that authorization letter from the Lost Mines there on site, and that they have that copy. So hopefully, because according to Mr. Totten, this is the first time that he is aware of that someone drilled without a permit. So luckily, this is not very common. So that will be taken up next month, and then the president will come here before you to address that. Darling Ingredients, as was stated, that there was a settlement offer and settlement letter. They signed it, approved it yesterday, and we spoke about accepting that settlement offer. The offer was for $13,000. Pending permits. We've got 6 aqua pending permits and 1 Thomas Turfgrass pending permit. These aqua permits are geographically all over. Some are way down south, and Foster is down in southern Bastrop County. Rosanke is just north of the town of Rosanke. S12, S3, those in the S fields over on Highway 304, just south of Shiloh. N3 is over by Highway 71, sort of by the parks, by Busher and Bastrop Park on 71. And ER3 is up on Highway 95, just before getting to Elgin, is the ER3. So those are in different stages, and our hydrologist, Ellery Water, is currently evaluating number 1 and number 2. And hopefully we'll get those back real quick. We'd like to get these at a hearing for October, the S12 and the S3. Thomas Turfgrass, that is a no new increase amendment, and I believe we should get to Thomas Turfgrass, we believe, next month in September. That'll be brought before the board.
Are all the aqua permits going to require hearings, or some of them administrative?
I think most will. The most are increase in instantaneous rate, or in a couple of cases, they're increase in the total maximum yearly annual rate. I think one may have a need for a waiver or variance, a spacing variance possibly. So I think, if I recall, about 4 at least will have to come before the board. Not all in hearings. The ones that do not require additional production, those will just be a board agenda item. We've had those in the past.
Okay, some of those are the
Yes, some are just board agenda items that do not require a hearing. So we're working through them. It'll take a bit to work through all of these, but we're prioritizing them and trying to get to these as quickly as possible.
appreciate that.
You may have noticed in our packet, there was the traditional production report that we typically provide to the board with the summaries of all the different production by permittee. Well, we are working to get that report by individual well. We've provided to Aqua and a couple of others a new spreadsheet that we could take that data and just import it into our database. Right now, all these production numbers have to be manually keyed in one well at a time. And we've contracted with HAF. They introduced a new feature that allows us to bulk import the water production now moving forward. So we'll be asking all of our permittees to use that format, and that'll help us expedite, put in all these information into our database by individual well. So you did see in your packet some glimpse of those individual wells. It's not tidy right now. We're going to clean that up. We're in the process of making hopefully one or two master spreadsheets to make that a little bit more palatable. But I just wanted to put that out there so folks realize that we do currently receive a lot of data by individual production data by individual well. So it's a work in progress, and we're going to improve that over the coming months. So I'm not sure if Claire mentioned this, but Claire is working to provide a well driller seminar for our well drillers after the rules, I believe, after our rules hearing in October, where we'd like to educate our well drillers on new rules, on the new programs, like the well capping program, the mitigation program, and these new rules regarding the need to have that authorization letter, for example, on site. So I think that might be like a dinner type of event, and we'll provide some dinner, and hopefully that'll entice the well drillers to come to that. ASR update, as been stated, there will be office hours here at the district office from September 17th, noon to 3. ASR Austin is doing a big social media campaign. You might have seen it on Facebook and other social media. And they're going all over Page, Elgin, Bastrop, Smithville, where they're going to have either what they call an office hours, which is more intimate, kind of smaller settings, and then open houses, where it's a bigger setting where they're going to have booths or, tables and individual items to discuss about. But in both cases, it's to get the public involvement on their new ASR project. There is the update on that is that we finalized the MOU, memorandum of understanding. It is now a binding contract. So we've been involved since April 7th with Austin Water negotiating this. Representative Gertis and his bill got us all together at the same table. So appreciate that. And we spent several months working with Austin Water. When they revised the contract, it didn't have any of our comments in it. So I wrote a letter with my concerns, and then the next iteration had our comments incorporated. It's now focused just on the phase 1B, which is the short-term studies for the next 2-3 years. There's no harm to the aquifer, meaning that there's no injection of any water. It's just drilling 2 boreholes and then taking out samples and doing above ground testing in the laboratory for water quality testing and water compatibility. So they've narrowed the focus to just what they call phase 1B. It is now a binding contract. It does not mean that we are in agreement with this project, but it does allow us a seat at the table. So they have finally we've been able to negotiate LRE Water and Dr. Miller to be part of the technical analysis group. And she will be sitting at the table from start to finish with input on the testing, the types of tests, the test criteria, the criteria for success. So that was one of the things that I was really strongly pushing on. And finally, we got the consensus that we will have a seat at that table, at the technical table. And they will have a recommendation at the end of the process. There'll be a technical recommendation. There'll be a recommendation from the stakeholders, the non-technical stakeholders, and then a third recommendation from Austin Water themselves. So 3 recommendations, and then a survey of Bastrop County residents, and then all that will eventually go to the Austin City Council. So the plan is for them to have office hours here in September. We'll have an agenda item that we can discuss during a board agenda item for September. And then the plan is that I will be asking to put this on the October agenda so that we would vote on that contract.
Talking about the MOU.
The MOU. And
So when you say it's binding,
it's mostly binding on their part. They're agreeing to certain things like not using eminent domain, for
see,
example.
I was told by someone that that's only binding for the administration in Austin right now, but by the time it got to there, that administration probably went down, so.
That is a concern. It has been brought up that these types of contracts are only binding to this current council, and that the next council, the next mayor, could come in and change things. That is always a concern. That's been brought up a couple, 3 times at these meetings. Yes.
So we're bound for just this particular phase.
Right. This would be just this phase 1B.
How long?
It lasts about 2 to 3 years. They cannot apply for a TC. They've agreed not to apply for a TCEQ permit until the completion of phase 1B.
But the MOU goes beyond that.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
It does not. It's now just limited to that one phase. There's like an appendix that talks about the longer term
Oh, okay.
things that we were negotiating, and we couldn't really come to an agreement on that long term stuff. So we kind of stuck it in an appendix to be dealt with afterwards.
So
This
the
is the
eminent
easy part.
domain is only for the first phase?
No, they've agreed to that throughout the whole
Right,
project.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've agreed to not use eminent
Yeah.
domain, period, is what they've been telling us.
I don't agree with that, but how are they gonna get that water up there and down? Anyway, for later.
All right, so we'll discuss that much more next month in September. All right, so I already spoke about half. They incorporated this bulk import tool where we can now bulk import our production data. We've had for a few months now, we've had the ability to bulk import water level. And so now this adds another capability to bulk import production data, because we have years and years and years of production data in files in our file cabinet. So this will hopefully expedite. Again, the only other option was to key it in manually. That was going to be hundreds, if not thousands. All right, then also I've asked LRE Water to export our database to the Texas Water Development Board. Now that we've updated our database with all the aquifer information and construction information about the wells, this was a proper time. Water Development Board has asked us to provide them with our database. And so LRE has been tasked, and they are evaluating how best to do this. There's some scripts that they can write, take our data and then massage it into the format that the state needs. And then lastly, a mitigation report. I was surprised to find that we have mitigation still going on. There were 4 payouts in July and August. As you can see, the 4 that were listed there, I think they totaled a little over $30,000. 2 of them just needed the well drop, the pump drop lower. But there are still 8 mitigation applications in the hopper in various stages. A lot of these are driven, this is really driven by the availability of the well drillers. So they first have to go out there, we do an evaluation, they provide an estimate. We review that estimate with the well driller, and then they have to come back and actually perform the job. So they're so busy right now that process takes weeks, if not months, to get all that completed. Most of these mitigations, applications and the payouts are still in the Lexington, in the groundwater management zone area, or right along the outer edge of that GMC area in Lexington. So, and now we're seeing Calvert Bluff wells that need mitigation, whereas typically in the past it had been Carrizo wells. Yeah.
That's clear that you're before we designate. What it's for. Must be done quarterly, every 6 months. I didn't know if that's been happening. I know it's nothing bad.
Yeah, I thought, I do recall, I remember that it was supposed to be a quarterly thing. I thought we had stopped it, but
I don't think it had
I
an
mean,
expired by date, but I'm not saying it's necessary, but I
Right.
remember that we had a motion. It was gonna be done every so often. It wasn't. What?
I think we might have
I
suspended
think we
that.
might have, I'd have to go
After
back
the-
and check, but I thought we might have suspended it because.
The initial couple of 3 and some of the things got worked out of the process, then.
See, I didn't know that. I thought it was still ongoing. But it doesn't, it may not be necessary because it's not a board committee. It's general manager within it. I thought it was every. I don't
It was quarters initially.
know. No,
I think they
it's-
messed.
we have to have.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you, General Manager. Okay, number L, consideration of future agenda items. Anybody? Robert?
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Go ahead, Michael.
Yes. Mike?
at the governance committee meeting, I mentioned this last month that since I'm going off the board, I think I can say this. I think the board is underpaid. I think the statute says you have a limit of $9,000 per person.
Okay, so you want to have this be an agenda item next time?
Yes, you asked for agenda items and
Okay,
I
we'll put
want
it on the agenda.
agenda item on it.
Thank you, Mike.
And, if you look at it, you'd have to have 45 meetings at $200 a meeting.
We'll put it on the agenda for next month.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other agenda items? Discussion, consideration, and possible action on district board meeting calendar. I think our next meeting is September 17th.
Yes, ma'am.
September 17th at 3:30, right after the ASR open house. That date and location, the next meeting, it's gonna be here, 3:30, September 17th, 2025. Anything else?
Yeah.
Robert, done? Okay. Next. Close this meeting at 5:42 PM on August 27th.